Welcome to Above Replacement Radio. I am your host, Chris Gianta. I might be becoming a bad baseball fan who can't enjoy the romantic things because of advanced statistics. 15 years from now, I want to be on the early baseball committee. Over there on the other side of the screen is Daniel Curran.
I literally have the Fangraphs hoodie, the baseball reference t-shirt, just repping some stats, you know what I'm saying?
It's not necessarily Hall of Fame, it's not necessarily above average, but we can guarantee you we are better than just the standard replacement level college sophomore.
And welcome to Above Replacement Radio, where we're talking baseball kind of whenever. I am your host, Chris Gianta. Over there across from me, as you cannot see on YouTube, unfortunately, is Daniel Curran. How you doing, Daniel?
Chris, I am doing well today. It is once again 9:16 p.m. on a Monday.
Yeah.
And we're back in here, same room as before, because we can't get into our podcasting studio quite yet, even though we're about a month into the school year.
Yeah. Not a lot of attention being paid to it, but I guess I could be blamed a little bit for that. However, I didn't really take on studio responsibilities, but I'm going to try to get that place a little cleaned up, or at least just throw the mess to another area so that we can sit down and talk about baseball for the playoffs, most definitely, because right now I don't hear myself, but I imagine it's a little bit echoey right now, which I don't love, but hopefully we'll get back to our high-tech and high-quality audio setup, and we'll be having some good playoff conversations on some good equipment. However, a lot of stuff has happened in the last week of baseball.
Yeah, a lot of stuff. There's basically 2 days left in the regular season. Most of everything is decided. You know, the AL East, the AL West, AL Central, NL Central, and NL West were decided a long time ago. But the NL East basically just wrapped up. You know, not confirmed yet, but
yeah,
what a series of events in Atlanta.
Yeah. Mets come in on Friday to Atlanta with a 1-game lead in the NL East.
And they have DeGrom, Scherzer, and Bassett all going in the series.
Yeah, going back to back to back. Braves had Fried, Morton, and who was the Saturday night?
It was
Kyle Wright.
No, it was Fried, Wright, Morton, I believe.
Yeah, Fried, Wright, Morton. And the Braves essentially swept the Mets. First night, what was it, 4-2?
Yeah, it was like similar scores every night.
Yeah, it was like
4-2 games.
4-2, 4-2, 5-3.
Something like that.
Braves just kind of won the big moments, it seemed like.
It's crazy because the Mets are still having one of the best seasons in their franchise's history, and assuming the Braves, eventually clinch the NL East, which their magic number remains 1 after tonight, after they lost to the Marlins and the Mets game got postponed. We're still going to remember this season for the Mets, as of right now, as they choked at the very end. And, there is partially, some stuff to be blamed on the Mets. They went 6-8 down the stretch against, the Cubs, Nats, Marlins, and A's.
Yeah.
Most of that being at home.
Right.
That wasn't good. Obviously, you got to play better ball against those teams, but they've still won 98 games as of now. They just have to win 2 of 3 from the Nationals to be a 100-win team, and it's just, the Braves are still probably going to win the division because they played on a 114-win pace for much of the year.
Yeah. We talked about this a couple episodes ago, but to refresh on the stats, so updated into Monday, October 3rd, what's been publicized a lot is, Mets had a 10.5 game lead in the NL East at the beginning of June. That's gone now. But, Mets were playing about 600 ball since they had that 10.5 game lead. It's just the Braves have been playing 700 ball. They've been on a 114-win pace in their last 107 games. 75-32. Mets have been on a 96-win pace, which, a 96-win pace usually is going to win you the division. It's just the Braves have been unbelievable, and they remain. They're probably a harder threat than they were last year when they won the World Series.
Oh, they absolutely are.
Yeah.
There's no question about that. The Braves, last year they got hot at the right time. Like, they were an 88-win team that people were writing off against the Brewers. And if not the Brewers, definitely the Dodgers.
Yeah.
That was the 106-win Dodgers, of course. And even if the Dodgers didn't win, they probably would have been written off against the 107-win Giants.
Yeah.
Like, the Braves were very much not a contender at the start of the postseason last year. And they're coming into this postseason as a 100-win team looking to take the 2 seed. Of course, they were the 3 last year. And, I mean, they got they have Acuna back for this run. They have Michael Harris the second up. They have Vaughn Grissom up. They have Spencer Strider in the rotation. Like, this is a much stronger team than it was last year.
Yeah, no doubt about
Even without
that.
Freddie Freeman. They have Matt Olson now to replace Freddie Freeman.
Yeah, Matt Olson, just had a great series.
Yeah, I mean, like, he had been struggling for a month at this point, but he kind of picked up on it over the weekend. The Mets had some people struggle. Francisco Lindor, in 13 plate appearances, 154 across the whole slash line, only 1 hit, no walks, no extra bases. The Mets as a whole just didn't hit for a lot of extra bases this series, and that was really the big difference maker. Like, Pete Alonso, 300, 417, 300. Didn't strike out a single time, but only singles from the power hitting first baseman.
Yeah, I think
the Braves hit 3 off DeGrom, I think 2 off Scherzer.
Right. I think there's a Buck Weaver quote, and it's like, I think he was like, World Series championship teams are built on like pitching, defense, and 3-run homers.
Yes,
and
that's pretty accurate.
And the Braves, like, they hit a lot of homers, and they hit at the right time. They hit. I would assume they hit well with runners in scoring position. It was just like they won those big moments. The Mets didn't, and frankly, I'm still not crazy worried about the Mets yet.
No, but also I think the one thing that worries me about them going into October is A, momentum isn't on their side, and B, they're not an extra base heavy offense outside of Pete Alonso, especially home runs.
That's true.
Because, like, I remember last year, I think teams that out-homered their opponent went 25-2 in the postseason.
Okay.
And the Mets will likely be playing the Padres in the first round, a team that hits more home runs than them, let's be honest.
Yeah.
That's a good San Diego team. They always give the Mets fits, too. Let me check what their record was this year against San Diego.
Yeah, and
they had to face their former division rival in Juan Soto.
Yeah, and if you want to just look at the Mets recently, like, they allowed a lot of home runs. It's not something you expect routinely with DeGrom, Scherzer, and Bassett, but those 3 combined, I think, gave up 7 home runs.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Something crazy.
DeGrom gave up 3. It was Olson, Swanson, and Riley.
Yeah. Scherzer gave up 2, and Bassett might have given up just 1. Or no, 1 or 2. So they combined gave up 6 or 7 home runs. But yeah, I'm looking at the Mets. They actually didn't seem to do too bad with runners in scoring position. It's just they didn't deliver on power. Is what seemed to happen.
And they let up too much power. The Mets went 2-4 against the Padres this year. I don't want to write them off yet. Like, I think that's just way too unreasonable for a team that could still win 100 games and will have home field advantage, which does very much matter at Citi Fields. And I don't know what my pick's going to be in that series, assuming that happens, but, like, I think it's going to be a lot closer than a lot of people would believe.
Yeah, that's true. Mets don't have momentum on their side, but on the flip side, I think there's a good argument that the Padres also do not have momentum on their side. Not that they've been struggling, but they've just been kind of like a 500 team for a few months now, which, not exactly the best, and sometimes momentum does matter, sometimes it doesn't. I think about the Red Sox last year. They were a mediocre team for 2 months, and then they turned it up. They beat the Yankees, beat the Rays, and were ahead against the Astros until they lost 3 in a row. Mm-hmm. So, there are exceptions for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Mets, like I said, I don't want to let momentum play a big part in my postseason picks, which I'm still very much deciding. Because I think most of everything is pretty solidified. Like I think the Mariners have like a game and a half or something lead over the Rays for the 5 seed. The Blue Jays have all but clinched the 4 seed.
Yeah.
Um,
I think they're 2.5
the
games
Padres
out.
the Padres are only 1 game above the Phillies as of
Mhm.
right now, but it's just the thought of the Phillies passing the Padres just seems very foreign.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
like it's not computing in my mind right now.
Yeah, no. Yeah, like then it's Phillies Mets and it's like, whoa, what's happening here?
Exactly.
That's not supposed to happen. Wheeler coming back to Citi Field, that's not supposed to happen.
Yeah.
That maybe that's next year in the simulation.
If we're being honest, I think the Padres would almost rather get the 6 seed because then they don't have to play the Dodgers coming out of the first round.
Yeah, oh right, because it's bracket style. I keep forgetting.
Yeah, they would have to play the Braves instead.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, in terms of who you want to face between Mets and Cardinals, Cardinals definitely have more momentum, but the Mets are a deeper team.
Yeah.
But yeah, Cardinals are interesting. We haven't talked about them in a good bit, but they're very interesting. But yeah, so where it stands now, Braves probably going to end up getting this. Do we want to talk more about the NL wildcard?
Yeah, let's do that because the Brewers, the Marlins wanted them to win so bad, but they were like, no, we do not deserve to go to the playoffs.
Yeah, we're reserving. We're reserving our right for the fans. The fans don't want to see us this year. Yeah, the Marlins and Brewers had a 4-game series at American Family Field, formerly Miller Park.
R.I.P.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
And the Marlins took 3 out of 4 there. The Brewers were 5 for 36 with runners in scoring position. Not great. They didn't capitalize on opportunities. Freddie Peralta gave up 4 runs in the 8th inning with a 2-0 lead. Devin Williams had a blown save that led to a loss. They just, that's what gets you out of the playoffs.
It's brutal. Yeah, I mean, it's weird because like a lot of people criticize their trade deadline, trading away Josh Hader, and that's valid. But like, I still question if a trade would have really done anything here. Like in a way, like Taylor Rogers also hasn't performed.
Right.
Maybe they were a bat away, but like which bat?
Yeah. Right. Like it was not really a hitter's market.
It wasn't.
For like literally outside of Juan Soto and Josh Bell.
Bell, who got dealt in the same deal.
Yeah. Yeah, who was in the
maybe
same
like a
deal.
smaller type bat like Darren Ruff or something, but even though he's been awful for the Mets.
No one
like Trey Mancini maybe.
Yeah, no one too like reliable, I guess.
Yeah, I mean the biggest problem for the Brewers was their offense this year, and at times the bullpen.
Yeah.
Hader struggled with the Brewers too. I still don't know if like Josh Hader being on this team would have made a difference in the second half.
Yeah,
especially because he struggled with the Padres.
I mean, yeah, he was having a really rough stretch. I
mean, Felix probably not having Taylor Rogers would have been good because he was so bad.
Yeah,
he was miserable for them.
Yeah, not good. And yeah, what I should also note is like the Phillies have been trying to hand this wild card. This wild card position off to the Brewers.
They lost 13-4 in their doubleheader to the Nats that day. One of them.
The Phillies in their last 17 games have lost 11 of them. They have a 6-11 record. It should the Brewers have been 500 and blowing games to the Marlins and going 5 for 36 with runners in scoring position in their series against them. So I mean, one team's backing into the wild card, and it appears to be the Phillies.
Yeah.
For now,
it's one of those where it's like, unfortunately, one of these teams has to make it.
Yeah.
Like the Giants have been playing well recently. It's like, why can't we just have them?
Yeah.
Why can't it just be San Francisco? At least they have some guys.
Yeah.
Which the Phillies have guys too, but they're just the Phillies.
Yeah.
Like they're meant to find a way.
They are. I mean, yeah, it's a whole bump in the road if they actually don't blow this.
The Phillies are just the weirdest team because, like, you won't convince me that they don't have the talent to win a World Series.
Oh, yeah.
Like, especially, a lot of people criticize the bullpen, but Jose Alvarado has been so good this year. Like, he's been 2018 vintage.
Yeah, and they've had some guys just emerge.
Yeah, like Andrew Bellotti was a solid option for them for much of the year.
Seranthony
Dominguez was doing very well for a large portion of the year. Obviously, the offense, we know what it can do. The rotation is pretty solid with Wheeler, Nola, Eflin, and Suarez and Gibson.
Yeah.
Like, they have, and then obviously,
you have a 2020 catcher.
Exactly.
The second, JT Realmuto is having a fascinating year. He has 20 home runs, 20 stolen bases, second catcher to ever do
I believe
that.
he has no caught stealings, too.
No caught stealings. It's crazy.
12 hit by pitches is interesting.
Yeah. It's wild what he's been doing.
Yeah. Alec Boehm is actually having a pretty good year. He's around league average OPS-wise, which is a big step up from where he was before. Bryce Harper is still doing well. Castellanos has been heating up a little bit more.
People could be fooled by Kyle Schwarber and his home runs.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. Like, he has over 40 home runs, but
45.
He has 45 home runs.
Yeah.
And
a 126 OPS plus in one of the worst OPS seasons in recent history.
he has an 815 OPS. He's getting on base at a 320 rate, which is about average. And he's not hitting like doubles or anything, so not really supporting those home runs with other extra base hits. But anyway, the Phillies are just going to be a more fun team to watch if they do indeed make it. I mean, with Nola and Wheeler, it's just going to be more fun.
Yeah. It's going to be fun to see if assuming this is the series, the Cardinals defense versus the Phillies defense.
Yeah.
That'll be a good storyline that no one talks about.
Yeah, I can't wait to just see that visually, like 3 singles in a game, like just hopping right in front of Schwarber, being like, I can't die for that. I don't have the ability to do that. Sorry.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
The Phillies.
They're
a team. And you know what? They're probably a playoff team for the first time since 2011.
Yeah. Which will end
the event. Finally the longest drought.
The longest drought.
Finally over.
Yeah.
I had it for a whole less than a week.
Yeah.
You know what's very funny? You know who has the longest drought now?
Who?
It's the Angels.
Yeah, that's something.
Yep.
That's baseball.
Still belongs to the AL West, baby.
Yeah.
It's very weird that, like, I now know a time where every team has made the playoffs. Although, I saw a tweet about this, and it's pretty valid, and it sort of goes into what we were talking about last time, but, like, why do we even count the Marlins 2020 playoff appearance?
Yeah, and they didn't even get in through, like, the regular... They got in because they were second in the NL East, and second place in your division...
It was automatic.
It automatically got you in, and the NL East sucked so bad that the Marlins were able to be in second place at below 500.
Yeah, they were literally 29-31.
Yeah, they had the same record as, like, the fourth wild card.
I'm pretty sure the Giants had the same record and they didn't make it.
Yes, correct. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. Why did they make it so second place had to be in? That was stupid.
Well,
like maybe for like bubble purposes. Like I don't even know.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. But it did end up that the 4 NLDS series were all individual, so that was cool.
If the Marlins didn't beat the Cubs in that series, I would be pretty adamant about, like, yo, we can't count that.
Yeah.
Like,
true.
they haven't made it since 2003, I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't feel right, yeah. Especially, there are arguments of, like, oh, this person would have had the exact same 2020, or this team would have had the exact same 2020. Marlins would not have gotten in.
If you extrapolate that season for another 102 games and do the normal playoff format where 8 teams from each league do not make it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I can't tell you that the 2020 Marlins are making it.
Yep. No, sorry.
I cannot.
I'm sorry, Jesus Aguilar. You're going to have to wait another time.
Sorry, bottom feeders.
Yeah. Yeah. It is weird.
Yeah, they get off the hook of having a basically 20-year playoff drought because they accidentally made it
right
in the pandemic year.
Yeah,
they lost more games than they won.
going back to the Brewers, is a lot of it? I think you've referenced it. A lot of it just like not having the bat. Like,
Yes, yeah, I do. Like,
because no one was able to step up and have that clutch moment.
no, I mean, yeah, 5 for 36 with runners in scoring position, and I think a lot of that comes down to like if you're an opposing pitcher, like who is in that lineup that you're like, oh, it's this guy. Like I gotta be careful here.
And to the Brewers' credit, I mean, and at the time it made a lot of sense, but they signed up to get that guy with Christian Yelich.
Yeah,
They signed him to a 7-year deal after he finished.
after getting an 1100 OPS.
Yeah.
like perfectly reasonable to believe.
And he's getting paid. He got paid like 180 something million, and I thought that was an underpay for how good he was the previous 2 years. But you know, he did have a home run in that series, but he was also 2 for 15. I looked up his number. He was 2 for 15. 12 of his batted balls were, or 8 of his 12 batted balls were ground balls, which is 2/3, not great.
66.7%.
He was 0 for 4 with runners in scoring position in that series.
Yeah.
So, they just haven't been able to have that bat. They signed up to have that bat, but Christian Yelich, not to just dump on him, it's obviously not all his fault.
Yeah, no, I mean, you are absolutely right, though. Like, they did sign a big financial commitment to the guy that was going to be their big bat, and he just hasn't been the big bat.
Yeah.
And it's been 3 seasons now where
Right.
he's been, like, a league average bat at best, which is a problem.
Yeah.
Like, what, since 2020, Christian Yelich has played in probably 326 games. That's 2 full seasons for a 742 OPS and a 106 OPS plus.
Yeah.
It's 34 home runs
Right.
in 326 games. That's a 162 game average of 17 home runs.
Yeah. Yeah, not
Like
great.
you're paying that much for like basicly a 6-7 hitter.
Yeah, just doing basic, like, if you're doing wins above replacement math, if he's the guy, if he's even just an all-star level talent, they're in a playoff spot right now. He's been worth, what, maybe 2 wins above replacement this year?
2.6.
So if
I believe
he's...
it's 2.1 F4.
Yeah, so if he's a 5-win player instead, which is...
Even like a 4-win player.
Yeah, they're in a much better situation and probably set to be in a playoff spot right now.
If he was at like Willie Adames level,
yeah,
they're a playoff team.
right.
Willie Adames has been probably their best offensive player for the last 2 years. He had a 758 OPS this year.
Yeah.
With very good defense and base running, albeit, but
Yeah.
like that's it.
Yeah.
And they play at such a hitter-friendly park too. It's very weird. It's such a reverse of what the Brewers were in 2018 when their window opened. Like they had a
Right.
stellar offense, but a lack of pitching depth. And now they have, when healthy, possibly the best starting rotation in the majors.
Oh yeah.
But they can't hit.
Yeah, and I mean, we've referenced this series a couple times, but like, they played the Brewers in the NLDS last year. They lost 4 games.
The Braves.
The Brewers lost to the Braves.
Yeah.
A couple of Milwaukee franchises,
Mixed up.
The Brewers lost to the Braves, and they had the best starting rotation, but they still pitched like kind of the best starting rotation.
The game that they won was 2-0.
Yeah, like Corbin Burns shut it down.
Well, it was 2-1. It was 2-1, and they lost 3-0. They lost 3-0 again, and they lost 5-4. Like they got shut out in 2 of those 4 games.
It wasn't because their great starting rotation was underperforming. It was because the offense was absolutely dreadful.
Like if you give up 3 runs in 2 playoff games, like you gotta assume you're taking at least one of those.
Exactly.
They got shut out in both.
Yeah.
It was Max Fried and Ian Anderson.
Yeah, it was something. But, in defense of the Brewers, they did lose to the eventual champions.
They did. But also
score
Braves
more.
played out. It's not like the Braves just completely overmatched them there. Yeah, like they're only scoring in the first 3 games of that series was in the bottom of the 7th against Charlie Morton, 3rd, 10th through the order. Avisel Garcia got hit by a pitch, and then Rowdy Tellez hit a home run.
Yeah.
And that was it for their scoring until Game 4, which they scored their most runs in any game throughout the series, and Hader gave up a late home run to Freddie Freeman.
Yeah, I think the Brewers had was it Eric Lauer out there, or Because I know they didn't
Yes.
have Burns.
Yes, they did have Eric Lauer. It was
Yeah.
It was Morton versus Lauer in Game 4. And to be fair, Lauer was very good last year. Yeah, it was 4-4 going into the 8th, and then Freddie Freeman hit that homer off of Josh Hader.
Yep. Yeah. So, and is Willie Adames set to be a free agent after this year, or am I tripping?
No, I don't believe so. No, he can't be. 'Cause he made his debut in 2018.
Oh, yeah,
After
so he
the
can't
service
be.
time. He's a free agent after 2024, so
Okay,
he's
so
got
I'm way
2
off.
more years. He's ARB eligible.
Mixing up my shortstops.
Yeah. Dansby's a free agent. Trey Turner's a free agent. Bogarts is a free agent.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, the NL wild card probably set. NL East probably set.
AL wild card.
AL wild card.
I mean, the big story is obviously
Oh yeah,
in the
Seattle.
Pacific Northwest.
You want to get into Seattle?
Yeah, they did it.
They did it.
That's it.
They ended that drought.
I watched.
Surprisingly, there was a drought in Seattle. That's been said in a lot of dining rooms across America the past decade.
Yeah. Been on a lot of newscasts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never hear about that.
If you need any proof of climate change, there was a drought in Seattle.
Damn.
I watched the whole game on Friday night, and it was such a weird vibe because, like, it was obviously such a big game for the Mariners, and every out was a big one. But at no point in that game did I think the A's were gonna win.
Yeah, right.
Like, I was like, the Mariners are winning this. Like, I watched from the 3rd inning on. I straight up do not think the A's got a single hit the entire time. I'm checking the box score real quick, like doing the play-by-play, because I am actually very sure the A's did not get a single hit from the time I started watching through the end of the game. All right,
Yeah.
It was a 2-1 game. Of course, Cal Raleigh, who's been like a top 5 catcher in baseball this year, hit a walk-off home run. So the A's had 3 hits in this game. And let's see. Oh, yeah, Tony Kemp hit a leadoff single. And then Shea Langlers hit a home run in the 2nd inning. And Jordan Diaz hit a single to short on a ground ball in the 4th. But that, like, arguably could have been ruled an error.
Mhm.
Yeah, I remember that one. And they never got a hit after the first batter of the 4th inning.
Yeah.
They did have a couple walks, so they did have base runners. The Mariners also just refused to score runs. Like, they had what were they with runners? They were 1 for 7 with runners in scoring position.
Dang.
And the one was, I believe, was a first inning double from Ty France. Yeah, it
Right.
was. And Dylan Moore had just stolen second base to put him in scoring position, too.
Yeah.
But yeah, like they were absolutely not doing it. It was very funny because I remember it was the 8th inning. You know that feeling when like it's a big at bat, like a power bats up, and there's like a guy on first with 1 out, and you completely forget about the possibility of a double play.
Yeah.
Like that's what happened to me. Like Eugenio Suarez was batting in the 8th inning. It was a guy on first with 2 outs, and I was like, it's got to be here. Like big bat at the plate. Like if he doesn't strike out, like this could be good. And then he hit a ground ball, and I was like, oh my god, that's the end of the inning. Like I forgot that was even a thing.
Dang, that's a stupid rule.
Yeah,
You should not be allowed to have 2 outs in 1 play.
yeah. Like you know what I'm talking about, though, right? Like
Yeah.
you completely forget about the possibility of a double play, even though it's a perfect double play opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's exactly what happened in the 8th inning, and then our boy Matt Brash. Fly out, strikeout in the 9th.
Yeah.
And
He's pretty insane.
he's been great as a reliever, which is where he was meant to be the whole year.
Yeah.
I think one of the funniest things that I like this habit I have as a baseball fan is like anytime like a random reliever comes in that I've never heard of and they look good, I'm like, oh my god, this guy's him.
Yeah.
Like I'll say that at the drop of a hat. And I was watching Domingo Acevedo pitch for the A's. I had never heard of him before. He struck out Haniger and Santana to start his night, and I was like, and I looked at his ERA. It was like in the mid-3s. I was like, yo, this is like the best kept secret in Oakland's bullpen. This guy's nice. And then Cal Raleigh on a 3-2 pitch
Yeah.
takes one, and I knew it was gone the second it hit. I was like, that's it.
Yeah.
Like, that's how it happened. It was so beautiful because, like, that's the way the Mariners deserve to make the playoffs.
Yeah. They just walk off home run.
Like, I was so rooting for the Orioles that day, not because they were playing the Yankees and I just like seeing the Yankees lose, but like I was like, the Mariners can't just clinch the playoffs because somebody else lost.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like, they have to win it the real way, and they did.
Yeah.
Which was perfect.
Yeah. Exactly.
Cal Raleigh, I want to talk about him for a little bit because he's been outstanding this entire year. I had a tweet like a couple weeks ago. He has to lead the league in OPS when I watch them. Like, every time I watch the Mariners, Cal Raleigh does something. He has a 120 OPS plus this year, 26 home runs. He was only batting 208, but he has a 485 slugging in 406 plate appearances, which is pretty unreal.
And 120 OPS is like, you think about that for a regular position. It's like, oh, but like when you're talking about a catcher, like
it's so different.
It's very different. It's very it carries a lot more value. The Savant numbers are also very good. 15.3% barrel rate this year.
He also just has such a nice swing. Like every time he like hits the ball, like it looks good.
Yeah.
He has the fourth highest F4 among the 14 catchers with 400 plate appearances this year.
Yeah, he's
very good defense, not great base running, but he's a catcher, so who really cares? Only JT Realmuto and Adley can run the bases.
Yeah, 81st percentile framing. That's nine catcher framing runs according to Baseball Savant.
Just to give you an idea, in less plate appearances, he has higher F4 than Will Smith, Alejandro Kirk, Wilson Contreras, Gary Sanchez, Salvador Perez. Cal Raleigh has been...
All those are like all-stars, or at some point have been all-stars.
Yes.
He's kind of, and he's only 25 as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I believe Mark Simon had a tweet. Apparently he started out the year 4 for 47.
Yikes. Yeah. So I wonder what his numbers are since then.
Well, let's see.
We'll take a look. Yeah, he's a guy where there's always just a home run highlight for him, and it's like, who's this Cal Raleigh guy? Where'd he come from?
He's also nicknamed Big Dumper, which is so sick. Jesus Christ, since August 30th, 22 games played, 79 plate appearances. He's slashing 235, 317, 632 for a 949 OPS and a 168 BABIP, or 186 BABIP.
Wow.
8 home runs, 16 hits, 9 walks.
He's having a Zanino stretch.
Yeah. Zanino of the year, Cal Raleigh.
Yep.
3 double. He has 16 hits. 8 have gone for extra bases.
Yep.
Or wait, no, 11 have gone for extra bases. Sorry.
Yep. The Mariners they got into a playoff position. They'll probably most likely face Toronto.
As of right now, they are at the 5 seed. How much space is there between them and the Rays?
It's at Rogers Center.
Mm-hmm.
Is Robbie Ray vaccinated?
Toronto lifted the guideline.
Oh.
Yeah, he is not.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, maybe he has been, but he did not. It was funny because they were going to present him with his Cy Young Award when he came back to Toronto, but he couldn't.
Imagine they do it right before the playoffs.
Before Game 1.
Yeah.
It's like, we would like to welcome today's starting pitcher for the Seattle Mariners to collect his 2021 American League Cy Young Award. Ooh. Yeah. Aaron Nola's doing pretty well against the Astros. Brewers are down 4-1 in the 7th to the Diamondbacks, the road Diamondbacks.
Oh, yikes. Yeah, who are the Mariners throwing out Game 1?
Well...
There's some options.
Honestly?
There's not a clear answer.
Well, let me see what they're...
If you're going momentum, you could...
Robbie Ray has not pitched well lately.
If you're going momentum, it's not Robbie Ray. It could be Kirby.
It could be Kirby, but also do you start... Oh, Kirby's starting today, so do you start him Friday on
They're not
3
going to
days
do
rest?
that.
They don't do that for a rookie. The Rays just lost, by the way. So.
They could do Luis Castillo.
That's probably the move. I don't know if he's
pitched in a playoff game, even though it was 2020.
I believe he pitched on Sunday, but Sunday to Friday is fine.
Yeah, that's 4 days
That's
rest. That's
regular rest.
standard.
Yeah. Kirby.
And then
yeah,
Gilbert.
He's pitching currently. Gilbert did go on Friday. He's probably going to go again before the season's over because they are playing for something. They got Marco Gonzalez going Tuesday. And then who's going on Wednesday? They haven't named a starter yet. They'll probably wait till they know what's going on.
Right.
Although I feel like by Wednesday, there's a good chance they can have it figured out.
And then Toronto has the dilemma of Manoah or Gossman game one. I mean, either answer is probably a right answer.
Yeah. Just by the way, well, actually, the Mariners have the so the Rays just lost, perspective, and the Mariners now have a 2-game lead over the Rays. They're playing right now.
Mm-hmm.
So if they win tonight, they clinch at least the 5 seed.
Yeah.
I believe if the Blue Jays, are they still playing? Did they win? Because they have a 2.5-game lead over the Mariners.
Yeah.
So they must have won tonight? Question mark? What are the Blue Jays doing right now? Oh, they're up 5-1 in Baltimore with bases loaded in the 8th. Okay, so the Blue Jays are going to win tonight, which I believe would give them the 4 seed. It would.
Yeah.
So if the Blue Jays hold on and the Mariners win tonight against the Tigers, I'm pretty sure the AL is completely figured out, which means they can throw out a random guy on Wednesday and have Gilbert go game 1, and then Castillo game 2, Ray game 3, Kirby out of the bullpen or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
Very funny that one of those 4 guys will make the first series rotation.
Yeah, right, true. Because 3 games maximum.
Yeah. Nice.
With Toronto, I mean, if you just look at ERA, it's going to be Manoah.
Manoah, Gosman, Barrios, Stripling.
Objectively, it might be better to do Stripling over Barrios. Barrios, I know he's probably going to end up having the better career than Stripling, but Barrios has been an absolute mess this year. It's crazy.
Signed a person who had him in an F4 league.
Yeah, but I mean, he's got a 5.37 ERA.
If he had a 2-win season, you probably could have won the league.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that kind of screwed you.
Yeah, if he just had
It's weird because if you went back and did the draft again, you probably still would have picked Barrios, and I still would have said, yeah, that's a good pick.
Oh yeah, I thought that was a steal. I think I got him 9th round.
Yeah.
I thought that was a steal because I was like, he's 28.
I think he had 1 win this year.
Yeah.
Robbie Ray had 1.7 because he gave up a lot of home runs.
Yeah. Well, Barrios is starting tonight, so he might add another 0.1 or 0.2.
I will say though, Robbie Ray is he might not be the move because he gives up a lot of home runs. That's his issue, and he's facing Toronto, which is a team that hits a lot of home runs.
Righty heavy lineup as well.
Exactly. If he was facing the Guardians, you'd probably have a much better case for him because
True.
That's not a team that hits home runs. They have lots of left-handed hitters, switch hitters even.
Yeah.
You can kind of work around that, but you really can't with the Blue Jays.
Right.
Yeah, you might just have to leave your $115 million ace out of the rotation.
Yeah.
For the greater good.
I think it would be better to give him the ball than Marco Gonzalez.
However. Oh, no doubt.
But
But at the same time, there are 3 better starters in that rotation objectively, in Gilbert, Castillo, and Kirby.
Oh right. Oh yeah.
Maybe just for the purpose of throwing in a lefty.
I forgot about.
But even then,
I forgot about Gilbert for a second.
Yeah.
They're righties, and I'm trying to look at the splits. I mean, righties have 93 points better OPS against Ray than lefties do. It's 647 versus 740.
That's such a tough decision to make because it's probably the best move for your team to not have Robbie Ray start a game. But at the same time, it's a bad look to not pitch your $115 million ace.
True. Very true. Very true. But,
because I believe he gave up 3 home runs in his last game and dropped 0.4 in F4 overnight.
Yeah, and the Mariners they have a pretty deep rotation this year with some young talent who they haven't had to pay yet. So
yeah, exactly. And they won't have to.
And and they just paid Castillo, so at least one of the guys that you signed for $100 million is going to go in that series.
In Robbie Ray's last 5 starts, 5.27 ERA, 5.89 FIP, 8 home runs allowed in 27 and a third innings. That's almost 3 home runs per 9.
Well, I was about to say he's never pitched a playoff game, but did he pitch there in 2017?
Yes, he had to have.
I'm looking at.
He started the wild card game. No, he didn't. Zach Greinke did. Yeah, he had to have started that series.
Yeah, he
definitely didn't get a win.
Oh yeah, and I think he pitched in relief in 2020. Isn't that funny?
That series didn't count.
Yeah.
This is the Blue Jays did not make the playoffs in 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he started game 1. Didn't he?
Did he? Oh, it says innings 4 through 6. I think game 1 was Ryu. Or no,
game 2 was Ryu.
Game 1 was.
They started a random guy.
It was Taiwan Walker, maybe.
That might have been it. Hang on, the 2020 Blue Jays. Who did they start in game 1 against Tampa? Who even started game 1 for Tampa? Was it Glasnow? Had to have been maybe
Snell.
Snell, yeah. Oh yeah, it had to have been. Yeah, 'cause Snell had a no
It
hitter.
was Matt Shoemaker.
Yeah, I remember it was someone random. Yeah. Yeah, Matt Shoemaker started that game.
No, that didn't happen. Sorry, Matt.
Matt Shoemaker has not played baseball since 2019.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Sorry.
I don't care that he was on the 2021 Twins with a 6 ERA.
Ah,
Yeah, I remember somebody random started that game 1 for the Blue Jays.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because Ryu must have had to pitch them in and then have to get extra rest.
right.
Because Ryu was third in the Cy Young vote that year and has disappeared since then.
Sadly.
Well, he had an average season in 2021 and just got Tommy John. Well, not just got Tommy John, but a few months ago he got Tommy John.
Do you want to guess who the top position player in B-War was on the 2020 Jays?
Was it Lourdes Gurriel Jr.?
It was not.
2020 Jays. Springer wasn't there yet. It wasn't not Bichette, not Guerrero, but I'm trying to think of that roster. Danny Jansen?
No. Good guess, though.
I'm going to say, I don't know, position player B-War.
Yeah. He put up a 2-win season.
I'm trying to think of a random good.
Had a 122 OPS plus.
So he's probably good defender. I have no idea.
Kevin Biggio.
Kevin
Who's
Biggio.
not even in the lineup now.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
He's 27 years old.
I remember he was at the start, the best of that trio, and just has not been great.
Yep.
Not been great. Anything more before we get into players to highlight?
Tony La Russa stepping down.
Right.
Yeah. That
I
happens.
almost missed that. Yeah.
77-year-old Tony La Russa is announcing his retirement for
Yeah.
the second time. I think we can all agree. Can we just not update his Baseball Hall of Fame plaque?
Yeah. It's not necessary. It would be nice to him to not update that. It's you led the 2021 White Sox to a division title
In the worst division ever.
where literally everyone else was below 500. Yeah, the Guardians were second place at 80 and 82 that year, and then they decided to be good, and now they can't win the division.
Yeah.
The White Sox can. I can't update that. I mean, disclaimer here also, we're not hoping that those health issues are bad for Tony La Russa. Obviously,
Part of his statement, he said I just straight up didn't do my job, so now it's not my job, which I appreciate the accountability.
True.
Health stuff aside, I do want to put that aside because of course, on this show we do hope that Tony La Russa is okay and healthy.
Yeah.
All that aside, was this the most predictable managerial tenure of all time?
It's up there.
This went exactly how we all thought it would go.
Yeah.
He would get carried by a talented offense and team overall. Have some big storylines in season where seems like he loses the clubhouse. Seems like, it just isn't the right fit. And there were plenty of those stories. Of course, there's the Yermin Mercedes 3-0 pitch There's the Lance Lynn comments where he's like, he has a locker, I have an office.
Yeah.
It couldn't have gone any more like how all of us thought it would go.
Yeah, and underperformance both years, you could say.
Yeah. You could I had a
Definitely this year.
I had a White Sox Braves World Series going into 2021, and going into that postseason, I was like, I can't pick this team.
Yeah.
That just cannot happen.
Yeah, I mean, they did win 93 games, but I'm pretty sure that they were wretched against like the fellow playoff teams.
Yeah.
And wretched against.
They never had a chance against the Astros.
They didn't. Yeah, and I mean.
And there's so many things you could point to with Tony La Russa in that series alone, too.
Right.
The biggest one being not shifting when Aaron Bummer was on the mound and allowing him to give up 3 consecutive ground ball singles up the middle.
Yep. Yeah. It was clear. It was very predictable what was going on. And, on the national stage that management was shown to light. And I mean, this year you had the multiple intentional walks on 1-2 counts.
Yeah.
Which is just like
and his
odd.
His rationale was like, did you see their numbers against lefties? Which was just very weird. I think also the biggest thing that you point to, the biggest reason I think for the Chicago White Sox regression this year as a team, a 131 ISO as a team. That was good for 26th in the league, tied with the Oakland A's.
Yeah.
That's not, in this climate, that is not going to get you anywhere.
Yeah.
I know that Cleveland did have a worse ISO. They also had a 293 BABIP. Well, actually, the White Sox, ironically, had a better BABIP. That's very weird.
Well,
but the Guardians Cleveland they play better defense. They run the bases extremely well.
Yeah, they're top 5 base running team, top 5 defensive team.
Yeah.
Good starting pitching and bullpen.
Those things.
Yeah.
What was their ISO last year?
Yeah, and
131 this year. It had to have been it was 166 last year. That's a huge difference.
Yeah. Not great. Also considering the level of players you have with Grandal, Tim Anderson, Eloy Jimenez, Jose Abreu, Luis Robert, AJ Pollock added this year.
And there was a lot of injuries, too. Eli was hurt for much of the year, and he really seemed to turn it on at the end of the season, so that's very encouraging.
Yes.
He got away from his ground ball tendencies.
Yeah.
Grandal was hurt and also underperformed this year. Tim Anderson was hurt for a lot of this year.
Yeah.
Luis Robert got hurt for some of this year in what many predicted to be an MVP potential breakout for him.
Yeah.
It didn't work.
On the pitching side of things, you didn't get what you wanted from Lucas Giolito
or Lance Lynn
until pretty recently.
Dylan Cease was great.
Dylan Cease is fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the top offensive performers.
Michael Kopech fell off.
He did very much fall. We saw it a little bit from him, but it didn't work.
Wasn't not the strikeout numbers you want from a guy throwing that hard.
And also just a lot of walks and even some home runs here and there.
Right. The White Sox were a mess.
The fact that Johnny Cueto had to step in.
Yeah.
And to his credit, he did a solid job for, given the expectations. 151 innings this year from Johnny Cueto. Who could have predicted that on any team going into the year?
Right.
That's got to be the most innings he's thrown since 2019, 2018.
Right. Yeah.
The last time he threw 151 innings was 2016.
Wow.
That was the year he was in the Cy Young contention.
Yeah.
He threw 147 in 2017, so he was just off of that.
And then,
he was also much worse that year.
Had some surgery, had Tommy John, and it's been building back up since then. Yeah. It just hasn't been good for the White Sox this year. We mentioned, probably should have done better last year. And, who knows what happens. I mean, I imagine, this was a special case where ownership really got involved in managerial hiring. And,
what do you know? It completely flopped.
Also,
just if we're still talking about just problems with the pitching, the fact that they gave Dallas Keuchel 8 starts is 8 too many.
true.
And they should have known that going into the year. And maybe that's more on Rick Hahn than it is anyone else.
Yeah, I mean, they were paying him at least $15 million.
What
this
a...
year.
He played for 3 teams this year.
It's crazy.
Can you name the 3? Out of curiosity.
Well, it was the White Sox,
Obviously White Sox,
Diamondbacks, and Rangers, right?
It was.
Yeah.
To the tune of a 9.20 ERA.
Not great.
60 innings pitched. 60 innings, first of all, 60 innings pitched and 14 games started. That's a little over 4 innings to start.
Yeah. Yeah.
He did have a 384 BABIP against, so of course he got very unlucky.
Yeah.
But even then, you had the Diamondbacks defense in there. That's, you have no excuse.
Yeah, true.
If you had a 384 BABIP with the Diamondbacks defense, you were probably just bad.
Right. Christian Walker behind
Christian
you.
Walker, Ketel Marte in the outfield, Jake McCarthy,
Yeah.
who's been solid.
Yeah.
Dalton Varsho, who was like one of the top performers in OAA this year.
Yep.
Yeah, Diamondbacks defense. Corbin Carroll for a little bit. He probably wasn't there for Dallas Keuchel, but
Yeah.
Corbin Carroll is going to be an interesting case going into next year. The Diamondbacks as a whole, I'm very
Yeah.
intrigued. He had a 51.1% left on base percent.
Yikes.
If you got on base against Dallas Keuchel, you had a almost 50% chance of scoring. That is insane.
So, all right. With the White Sox, so now their window is
It's still open.
it's open, but it's
But it feels more like a division window than a championship window.
yeah, and hopefully ownership doesn't get involved in the managerial process this time.
I think Rick Hahn's going to have to just walk out the door if
Yeah.
they do again.
Yeah, hopefully for the White Sox, Rick Hahn can get his get his guy, and potentially, I don't know if they'll be active in the free agent market. I know Tim Anderson, I think, has a team option at the end of the year. So I mean, I think
feel like
that's
got to stay.
I think he's going to be picked up. That's going to be picked up.
Yeah, there's no way you let
So
that
he's, he'll be around. I'm curious at their payroll and seeing if they.
Their payroll in 2022 is 196 mil.
Yeah.
But they have Jose Abreu coming off the books.
Keuchel coming off the books.
coming off the books. Abreu, that's $19 million getting freed up from last year. There's a $10 million option on AJ Pollock. I wonder if they take that. That might be interesting.
Yeah.
I bet they probably don't.
Yeah.
They invest that money somewhere else. Lucas Giolito's entering ARB3. He's gonna have a contract year next year, so you'd think that means he'd be better.
Yeah.
Dylan Cease is entering ARB1. That's interesting. He'll probably get like $5 million, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. Coming off a probably Cy Young finalist season.
Yeah, maybe even a Cy Young season.
Potentially.
They'd probably give it to Verlander, but
yeah.
Whatever.
I'll evaluate that when award season comes around.
There's nothing worse than trying to figure out if it's a player option or a club option when you're colorblind.
Oh boy.
I have no idea. I have to look at it's a player option for AJ Pollock for $10 million. Well, that's getting picked up.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like he might have a tough time earning $10 million somewhere else.
He's sticking around.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I could have sworn that was red. Turns out it's green.
Okay.
I have to look in the contract details on Fangraphs to see if it's a player or club option. Club options on Josh Harrison and Tim Anderson. Yeah, I don't know. A $12 million on Tim Anderson. Probably taking that.
Yeah.
Definitely should take that.
He's almost face of the franchise.
When
When
healthy this year, he was a top 5, maybe even top 3 to 1 shortstop in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. When I think of the White Sox, personally, I do think of Tim Anderson first, more often than not.
There is a 2022 to 23 club option on Dallas Keuchel for $20 million, who is no longer in the organization.
Ah.
Well, that's $20 million coming off the books.
Yep.
That's pretty good for them.
Yeah. So I don't know if they'll be active. They probably don't have too much spending space.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, there's definitely some guys who can turn it around. Definitely some guys that can get healthier, and right the ship and potentially make a division run next year. But we're not able to do it this year under the leadership of Tony La Russa, who will be gone from the managerial role. Do we want to get into players to highlight?
Yes, we do.
All right, so all of these stats, by the way, are heading into
Play on Monday.
Monday, October 3rd. And now we will discuss our Tuesday, October 4, 2022 edition of How About That? Who do you have for us today?
So my how about that is on one of the teams that we have not really talked about at all today. It's the Yankee outfielder that's taking everyone by storm. It's Oswaldo Cabrera.
Yes.
Yeah, he's been fantastic as of late. Since September 10th, he is slashing 309, 397, 603 for a 1,000 OPS and a 185 weighted runs created plus.
Solid.
Before this span, 14 of his first 56 career batted balls had a launch angle above 45 degrees. That is 25% of his batted balls being above 45 degrees. That is a lot. In the span, that number is down to just 10.9%, so he's cut that in half, which has been excellent. His average launch angle over the span has gone from 22.9 degrees to 18.5. That's a 4.5 degree difference. His hard hit rate has gone from 30% to 39%. And additionally, he is slugging 603 against four-seam fastballs during this span. That is good for 17th best among the 309 qualified hitters with at least 25 batted balls against four-seamers. And on defense, he also ranks 31st among the 366 qualifiers in arm strength, which was just added to Savant last week. Yeah, he has a very good arm. Don't run on him. He is tied for 8th in the majors in defensive runs above average over the span. And throughout the year, he also leads the 484 fielders with at least 200 innings logged in UZR per 150 with 41.4. The next highest is 29.1. So that is a little cherry-picked, but given the small sample size we've seen, Oswaldo Cabrera has been an excellent defender, and he's been really solid offensively as of late.
Yeah, Oswaldo Cabrera.
How about that?
Yeah, the Yankees outfielder taking everyone by storm, Oswaldo Cabrera. Yeah, he's been doing amazing.
Mm-hmm.
My how about that? By the way, this is probably our last. These are probably our last players to highlight of the year.
Wow.
Because scheduling is a bit hectic these days, but not to get sentimental already, we got to get into the guy that the left-handed pitcher that the Cardinals acquired at the deadline that was taking everyone by storm, and we were all questioning the trade, seeing if it was worth it. Jose Quintana, who in his last, he was traded from the Pirates to the Cardinals. Obviously, that joke was in reference to Jordan Montgomery.
Yeah.
Jose Quintana, in his last 5 starts, he has a 0.89 ERA and a 1.67 FIP in 30 1/3 innings pitched. Since the start of September, out of 66 qualifiers, Quintana's ERA ranks 3rd and his FIP ranks 1st. Out of 142 pitchers with 50-plus batted balls against since the start of September, his expected WOBA is the 4th lowest. And also, Quintana's strikeout rate has gone from 20% before the span to 25% during the span, and his walk rate has gone from 8% to 3% in the span. And this is the weird thing. That 3% walk rate comes despite him having the 4th lowest in-zone percentage out of 105 pitchers with 400-plus pitches thrown. He has a 3% walk rate while having one of the lowest in-zone percentage, throwing the ball in the strike zone. That comes because he has a chase rate that was already good. It was good before the span of 31.8%. And in the span, his chase rate is 37.2%. I believe the league average chase rate is around 28%, and Quintana's chase rate in this 5-start span is 37.2%. Out of 108 pitchers with 200-plus pitches out of the zone since the start of September, Quintana's chase rate is 8th highest. Also, Quintana's average exit velocity has gone from 86.8 miles per hour to 83.8 miles per hour, which is very, very low. His average exit velocity in this span ranks 2nd lowest out of 142, and also his barrel rate has gone from 6.5% down to 1.3%. He's given up 79 batted balls, only 1 has been a barrel. So Jose Quintana has been killing it since the start of September. Obviously, very good sign for the Cardinals, who are going to be playing in the wild card series starting Friday. So he's going to be probably in that rotation. So Jose Quintana.
How about that?
It's crazy to see how far the Cardinals rotation has come in the last year. Like Adam Wainwright started the wild card game for them last year, and he'll definitely be in the playoff rotation again. But there's really a big question as to where, because Jose Quintana's been really good. Jordan Montgomery's been fantastic. He might be a Game 1 starter.
Yeah.
Miles Michaelis has been excellent this year in almost 200 innings pitched. Like, there is very real questions on where Adam Wainwright fits into this Cardinals playoff puzzle here.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, there's probably some of those starters are probably going to have some innings out of the pen too.
Yep.
I feel like
Guys like Dakota Hudson.
Yeah, exactly. Especially like Ollie Marmol. I know he's a younger guy.
That's got to be like an under the radar pick for manager of the year.
Correct. Yeah, we
A
didn't.
first year guy wins the division by a lot.
Yeah, he's definitely like I could see him being a finalist for sure.
Should be a finalist, no doubt.
Yeah,
I mean, what we're talking: Buck, Showalter. We're talking Ollie Marmol. Maybe Dave Roberts, just cause.
Maybe Dave Roberts, just cause. There's. Wait, I still forget. I'm forgetting his name. Rob Thompson.
Rob Thompson, yeah.
I mean,
That's a fair.
They were
point.
7 games below.
I do
500.
wonder. I have wondered. Do you throw John Schneider in there? It's the Blue Jays guy.
True, yeah.
Because they've been
They've taken off.
way better since they fired Charlie Montoyo.
Yeah, they were 45 and 42, and now they're 90 and 69.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like 35 and 17 or something like that in their last whatever games.
Yeah.
All right. So now we'll go from the highs to the lows, where we're talking players or subjects that have been underperforming with our Tuesday, October 4th, 2022 edition of
Slightly alarming.
Who do you have for us today?
So my slightly alarming, my last player to highlight of the year, emotional, is Trey Mancini, who was traded at the deadline, and I kind of just forgot about the trade because you just haven't really heard much from him. Since August 14th, he is slashing 163, 267, 326 for a 592 OPS and a 71 weighted runs created plus. That batting average ranks second worst among the 151 qualifiers. His OBP ranks 9th worst, and his weighted runs created plus ranks 13th worst. His 184 BABIP also ranks the 5th worst among this span, so he is getting a little bit unlucky. But at the same time, his strikeout rate has gone from 21.7% to 26% during the span. His line drive rate has gone from 27.8% down to 17.4%. So that's gone down over 10%. His pop-up rate has gone from 5.2% before the span to 9.8% in the span, so that's almost doubled. His average launch angle in the month of August was 16 degrees. His average launch angle in September was 14 degrees. Both of those, Sid has his 2 highest average launch angles at any month of his entire career outside of September 2016, where he had probably 10 batted balls.
Yeah.
He's obviously going into a contract year, and I still think he'll find a home. But, a lot of people looked at that trade to Houston, him going from Houston to Baltimore thinking, this is going to be a difference-maker trade. And it still could be in the postseason. And it's not like, the Astros really needed him to step up in the regular season because they still clinched the number 1 seed handily. But Trey Mancini is going to go into the postseason pretty quietly.
Yeah, Trey Mancini.
Slightly alarming.
Yeah, I know. I fell for it. I was like, oh, he's leaving Baltimore, going to the Crawford boxes. This is going to be a great trade.
Yeah.
And, he's just been...
Yeah, and I mean, it still could be, as a rental. You get guys like that for potential postseason moments. And I have no doubt that Trey Mancini is very capable of that. I think it's great that he's finally going to be getting some postseason action.
Yes, yeah.
I guess he kind of did in 2016, right? Was he on that roster?
I think 2017 was his rookie year.
Well, but he did play in 2016, for a little bit.
I think he got left in the bullpen.
Yeah.
Sorry, Orioles fans.
He played 5 games in 2016, and he had a 1471 OPS, because I remember he homered in his first at-bat against the Red Sox.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, he probably wasn't on the playoff roster if he only played 5 games in the regular season.
Yeah. So my slightly alarming. I figured we should highlight this player. It is our last. It's the last player to highlight of the year. But I am stealing your thunder a little bit. This is a guy you've talked about a lot for in the entirety of 2022. Josh Bell.
This is a Frozone.
It's a freeze over.
Oh yeah, you're right. It is a freeze over.
Because he was hot. He was hot earlier.
Didn't I put him on slightly alarming though?
When?
I feel like I did because he had like a 70% ground ball rate with the Padres. Maybe I didn't.
I feel like you talked to.
He was definitely highlighted before the season. I did put him on. How about that? You are absolutely right on there.
Yeah, and I think this is a ARR Triple Crown as well because he was a player to watch. How about that? And he's the slightly alarming. So congratulations to Josh Bell. But in his time with San Diego, which is 50 games, he is hitting 198 with a 593 OPS. In the span out of 144 qualifiers, his average ranks 9th worst, slugging ranks 4th worst, and OPS ranks 9th worst over a 50-game span, too. He only has 8 extra base hits on the Padres, and his extra base hit percentage has gone from 9.4% before the span to 4.0% in the span. His average exit velocity has also gone from 89.5 miles per hour to 87.2 miles per hour. His ground ball rate, we've talked about this. It's been a reoccurring problem. It's gone from 47.2% to 57.6% in the span. Out of 198 hitters with 100-plus batted balls in the span, Bell's ground ball rate ranks 9th. And as you mentioned before, he doesn't do well when he's hitting ground balls. On those ground balls, he is hitting 211 and slugging 211. And out of 158 hitters with 50-plus ground balls in the span, his slugging on those ground balls is in the bottom 20%. So he's hitting ground balls at a top 10% or top 10 rate, 9th most of 198, but he's doing, bottom 20% worse.
Yeah.
Bottom 20% worse. So Josh Bell, they traded away Eric Hosmer and got Eric Hosmer back. Josh Bell.
Slightly alarming.
I don't know about you, but for me, the offseason feels like the season because that's where I just go all in with research. I catch up on everything that I missed during the season, which is obviously a lot. And I lived on Josh Bell's Baseball Savant page during the offseason last year.
Yeah.
And I got to start thinking about my next obsession.
Yeah, right.
Because it was Robbie Ray in 2020 to 2021, Josh Bell from 2021 to 22. I got to think of my next guy.
Yeah, I don't know. You gotta find him. There is a guy.
Part of me hasn't started enjoying the off season over the last couple of years, for reasons like that. Nothing's updating every day. Nothing's changing. I get to just see it all in full what happened.
Right.
Also, I have much more of a life now than I did 2 years ago, so I have so much more distractions in the off season.
Yeah.
It's been I thought last off season was absolutely gonna suck because of the lockout, but I personally barely noticed.
Right. Yeah. It's Twitter's a little later today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I started my players to watch list in November.
Yeah. I remember you telling me before we ever started doing episodes, you were like, I got 28 picked out.
Yeah. When I was home during the semester break, I'd pick a team and I would just go all in for a day and be like, who are my guys? What do I want?
Yeah. It's exciting. For preview of the week ahead, I don't know.
Why?
It's not really necessary. All right, anything more before we wrap this up?
Just real quick. Reyes Maranta from the Diamondbacks, massive human being.
He's
absolute unit.
Yeah, mass equals gas is what they tell me. But yeah, that's it for this installment of Above Replacement Radio. Last one of the regular season. Excited for playoff baseball, which is where this thing started. Happy 3 years
Oh
to
my
us,
God.
by the way.
Wow, happy 3 years to ARR.
Yeah, happy.
That's crazy.
Yeah, unbelievable, man. Yeah, it's crazy to think. Yeah,
We went from, not knowing how to use the podcast or rate the radio equipment to not being able to use the podcast equipment
Yeah.
in 3 years.
The recording equipment we're using for this episode is substantially worse
Yep.
than the recording equipment we used for the first episode. So, yeah. But anyway, yeah, this is senior year for us in college. This thing started freshman year.
Which,
yeah.
I mean, I don't want to say right now that means this is the last year of the pod. Like, I don't want to
No.
believe that.
No,
I want to
yeah.
keep this going as much as we can.
Exactly.
For the future, because obviously I have no idea what either of us are going to be doing by this point next year, and if we're going to be able to do this, and maybe if we're going to have other work to where we can't do this. I don't know.
Yeah.
But we're just going to ride it. We're going to ride this thing out as much as we want to.
Yeah. And
which is, we're just here for the ride right now.
It is talking baseball kind of whenever. So,
Yeah.
maybe, who knows, maybe upload schedule will be more inconsistent, but you still want to do this.
Whatever.
This is still, a very enjoyable thing for both of us, and
Indeed.
a good distraction from, other things as well. So yeah, 3 years of ARR, 212 episodes now. We hope you enjoyed this one. If you're listening on, or if you want to follow us on social media, follow me on Twitter @Chris_Gianta. Follow Daniel on both Twitter and Instagram @Daniel_Kern, and follow the show Instagram for all the show needs @Above Replacement Radio on Instagram. We hope you enjoyed this one, and we hope to see you next time, where we will be talking about the MLB playoffs. See you then.
This conversation is over.